Hi, it's Randy Herman with Keller Williams Realty, bringing you Everything Real Estate, the show that demystifies the process of buying, selling, investing, and leasing property. I have today the honor of speaking with Alex and Kathy Shook, who are involved in investing, an area that is so popular. I must get more questions on investing than anything else in real estate. So thank you so much both for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
Really appreciate it. Why don't we start off, since everybody wants to know how do you get involved in real estate investing, why don't you tell us a little bit about your backgrounds and how you got started?
Sure. I'll answer that because I'm the one that decided to get into this. So my background really included, I used to be in communications, advertising, specifically sales, and did that for quite a long time, and I did pretty well, but I got burnt out, and the pressure of having to hit budget month after month really got to me after a while. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. And believe it or not, one night I was up late and I saw this infomercial of all things.
Oh yeah, we all get those infomercials. Yep.
Yeah, and
Ron LeGrand or
yeah, well, this one was Carlton Sheets.
Oh, Carlton Sheets. Yeah,
he was on the beach in a hammock with a tropical drink, and I'm like, that looks pretty good. So. Yeah, I just started learning a little bit more about it, and I had no real estate background at all, and I just bought a couple of programs, a couple of courses, and just learned and went to some meetings and kept learning, and eventually, I was able to.
How long ago was that?
Oh, this is going back to 2007 and 8 when I first started dabbling at it.
Oh, about 10 years, huh?
Yeah, but we didn't do our first deal until 2009, and I was still working a full-time job. And at first, Kathy was like, "Why do you want to do this? You're doing well. You've got a steady income." So at first, she was very skeptical, but eventually she came around and supported me, and it's a good thing she did because I was still working a full-time job, and she really got the business jump-started, and actually she ended up doing like 90% of the business the first year or so while I was still doing my job.
Right. Well, that was one of my questions. Oh, Kathy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Yeah.
Sure, yeah, thank you. My background was bank advertising. I used to work at Bank of Boston. Does anyone remember Bank of Boston?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now part of Bank of America. I left the banking advertising industry to take care of our daughters. We had 2 small children, so I was a stay-at-home mom. And they were getting to the age where I felt like I needed to get back to work. But I wanted the flexibility of being able to, pick them up after school, do their activities with them.
Right.
So a 9-to-5 job just wasn't flexible enough for me. So I wanted something that would allow me the flexibility of being there for my kids. And when Alex, mentioned real estate investing, I was like, okay, I know a little bit about real estate, but it allowed me that flexibility to be home and make my own schedule.
Right. So both of you doing this full time now?
Correct.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Do you feel a lot of pressure from that? I'm kind of curious. Since you're only as good as your last deal.
It's different. I mean, yes, there's a little bit of pressure. I won't sugarcoat it, but it's on my own terms versus what I used to do before, where before I had to hit a budget month after month, and when you reach a certain level in sales, the expectations keep growing to a point where it becomes.
I know, isn't that horrible? You get to be the top salesperson, then they raise the bar.
I know. Can you believe it? Yeah. So I did that for quite a long time, and I just had enough. So yes, there is pressure in this business, but it's totally different than the pressure before.
Okay. Well, good. So as a husband-wife team, do you divide up the work, division of labor here, or?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Even if we weren't husband or wife, if we're just partners, business partners, I definitely recommend dividing up the workload based on your background, your interests, your skill set. And
can I ask what each of you specializes in?
Sure. So with my sales background, it just made sense for me to handle the lead generation and most of the marketing because I was used to looking for sales back when I was doing sales. So I was able to take that experience and move it over to the real estate side. So to me that's exciting, finding the deals. So once we get the deals, then and I should also mention that Kathy helps out with the marketing because the marketing takes up a lot of time.
Big chunk of the business.
So
in other words, finding the properties to buy.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I kind of spearhead it, but she helps out a little bit with that. Once we get a deal, then I pretty much hand it off to Kathy, and she takes over as the project manager because that's what she enjoys. She enjoys those TV shows.
So when you say project manager, you mean you do the renovations?
So yeah,
and the-
so Alex also, he's in charge of finding the financing
Okay.
to fund the deals. And then once we close on the property, I kind of take over and I manage the contractors. I pick out the fixtures, all that sort of the fun stuff. And I also have my license, so I also sell the properties once we're done rehabbing them.
So you got a one-man shop, but a two-man shop, but you're able to do everything.
Yep,
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
much.
Fantastic.
I kind of say I'm more the big picture, and she's more the.
Detail-oriented kind of
Yeah.
person.
So in real estate, they always have us as agents put our goals. And I'm curious, what are your goals here for your company?
Well, it's constantly evolving. You know, I'd be happy with buying and selling a property per month. You know, right now we're not quite there. We're close.
Oh, so you do about 10 to 12 a year?
Well,
We do about 8 a
more
year
like
right
eight.
now.
Eight.
That's a good number.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps us very busy.
Yeah.
And you know, I would like to bump it up just a little bit to 10 or 12. If we could do 12, one a month, I'd be very happy with that.
Right.
So
Are you looking to expand the company, or you like being just a single entity? Or?
we like keeping it small. You know, we know other investors that have grown their company to include employees, and yes, they can do more volume. However, there's also more challenges when you're bringing, you know, when you have a larger staff.
Right, yeah. So I understand how you sort of fell into it, and you do it full-time, and you do each separate jobs. Can you tell us like a typical day in the life? What do you do?
There is no typical day.
I know, that's a hard one.
And that's what makes it exciting too. It's not like a 9 to 5, go to work,
Right.
kind of boring, you know. Every day is different.
Right.
And yeah. But for me, a typical day, you know, if we have ongoing projects, it would be I don't go every day. I go once a week to our ongoing projects. I stop in, make sure the work's getting done. If I have to pick out fixtures, you know, tile or
So in other words, you're not doing the hands-on
Oh,
work?
no.
You have
we have general
vendors.
contractors that do that,
Okay.
and they manage subcontractors. So we're just making, my role, I'm making sure that the work's getting done, and I'm paying the guys, and yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to add that we also have a couple of daughters. They're older now. They're teenagers, and one is now college age.
Right.
But part of our day also includes picking them up and acting as a limousine service. So,
Still have that
never
flexibility.
stops.
It
No.
never stops.
Never
yeah.
stops. I have two myself, so
Okay.
I totally understand. I was curious, do you have any financial goals for yourself? I mean, for example, per project, do you set yourself, I won't do it unless I get X dollars profit, or?
Yeah.
Yes. So when we rehab a house, which is typically what we do, you know, basically our minimum profit requirement is $35,000.
Okay.
If we're putting a lot in, if it's like a major rehab, then we'll want to make more profit versus the 35.
So that's net, that's after everything aside from
Correct.
taxes?
Yeah.
That's aside from
Paying
all your
everyone.
expenses
Yep.
and
Right.
paying everyone?
Yep. And then
Right.
we also look for a 12% or higher return on investment, ROI.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So we have a formula that we calculate, and we are able to determine what our ROI is.
All right,
So we're
terrific.
trying to get 12% or higher.
Excellent. So maybe you could tell us what are the criteria you use for determining whether a deal is actually worth doing or not? What do you look for? What do you judge by? What's your criteria?
Okay. Well, I mean, we're obviously looking for distressed properties,
Right.
and when I say distressed, these are properties that need a lot of updating and repairs. They've been neglected for a variety of reasons.
So once you do these repairs, do you then resell them, or do you hold and rent them out?
We sell them.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
you're all flipping them all the time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we decided, and this is our personal decision, we decided not to be a landlord or do buy and hold in Massachusetts. We do own some buy and hold property in a different state,
Right.
but not in Massachusetts.
Why?
Honestly,
I mean, I know the answer to that.
yeah.
But
I mean, to be honest,
answer
just the numbers sometimes don't work, but also Massachusetts is a very tenant-friendly state.
Yep.
And we discovered that a couple of times where we had to just literally evict illegal squatters out of a property. It took us many, many months. So
Wow.
we made that decision
okay.
not to do it in Massachusetts.
Okay. So you go by I imagine, certain financial, criteria whether a deal is good or not. But do you also look at location?
Sure.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you keep your area to one small region, or what do you do?
We target really 2 counties, Middlesex and Essex counties.
Okay.
And a number of towns would encompass that, probably about 30 or so towns. And there are several factors that we look at. For example, is it on a main road versus a neighborhood? Obviously, the preference would be a neighborhood. If it's on a main road, then we have to determine if it's worth it or not.
Yep.
Usually, we kind of stay away from the busy roads. And if it's next to a commercial building, typically we'll stay away from it. If it's in a flood zone, we'll stay away from it. So there's a few no-nos. And
So you want neighborhoods that have appeal and.
yes, because even if we fix up a house that's on a really busy road next to a commercial building, it's still going to have limited appeal because there's just not going to be a lot of buyers for that property, even all fixed up.
Right. Okay. And what do you have, let's say, criteria in terms of what you're willing to do on a house? For example, if it has structural problems,
anything.
you won't touch it, or if it's been burnt, inside, or.
We pretty much have done it all and seen it all in our business.
Oh, really?
We've put in helical hearings, I think they're called, in properties to fix foundations. We've done mold remediation. What else? Major thing. Septic systems installations. We've pretty much done it all.
Cracked
Okay.
pipes, you
Yeah,
name
well,
it.
I can see from your website, and you got a great website, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we'll give the information a little bit. But I love the fact that you had all these videos and you could see things in process. But I picked up a couple of, which we'll see on the PowerPoint here, projects that you've worked on or are working on. And it does seem like you cover everything from the ground up or renovations.
Yeah, that's correct. We're starting to get into new construction right now, so yeah.
Right. Okay. And then let me ask you, once you've kind of figured out what you're looking for, how do you go out and find it? How do you find there we go, ways to find property?
There you go.
Well, that's probably the biggest challenge in this business
Yeah.
is finding the deals.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because they're not right there. You have to really hunt them down.
Right. And with the shortage of inventory, it can be very difficult.
Right. And the properties that are listed on the MLS, those generally speaking are not very good deals. I mean, there are deals on there occasionally, but the problem with the MLS is they're out there for everybody to see. So therefore, the competition is pretty significant.
Right.
In fact, it's not uncommon to have a property hit the market first day. There's a bunch of investors looking at that property, and sure enough, there's multiple offers, all cash, above asking price.
Right. And then you're competing against end users on
Right.
top and foreign money coming
Right.
in.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the best deals really are the off-market properties.
So how do you get to those off-market properties?
We do some marketing, direct mail
Okay.
to different types of people. For example, probates. That's probably been our best lead generation campaign. Every week we look at the new probate listings in the areas that we target,
Right.
and we mail a series of letters. And we've definitely bought a lot of properties over the years just from that one campaign.
Yeah.
And then we mail to other campaigns as well, and we do other things. I'm always talking to realtors because realtors are out there looking at properties all the time.
Yep.
And if
So
they
you do buy through realtors, you team up with
a little bit,
realtors?
not a lot. I would say
referrals.
we have better success with other investors. So other investors that find a deal but don't want to do the rehab, they will act as a matchmaker. They pair up us with the seller,
Right.
and then they make a
Wholesalers,
wholesale.
in other words.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
We used to call them pickers.
Yeah. So we get a fair amount of deals from wholesalers because we have a vast network of contacts that we've built up over the years.
And we go to a lot of different events, different RIA meetings and
Well,
meetups and all that.
we just saw each other at
that's
the
right,
Black
that's how we
Diamond
met, yep.
meeting,
Mhm.
which
Yep.
is a great group.
It is.
Yeah. Now, you said you got your education slowly, took a little while. Do you belong to, are you franchised or you belong to any other group? that's larger than just?
We're not franchised. We did join a company called Fortune Builders back in 2010. So after we did our first 2 flips, we
Right.
decided we needed a little bit more training to take our business to the point where I could leave my job. So we found this company called Fortune Builders, and it was a great decision because they are by far the best program out there for learning how to do this business the right way.
Right.
And then 2 years later, they actually approached us about becoming coaches.
Oh, great.
So we were very flattered by that.
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it.
They hold you up as a successful couple, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They saw something in us. So we agreed, and we've been coaching with them ever since. So a little bit, about 5.5 years.
Wow. So someone could join Fortune Builders and get you as coaches.
Correct.
They could. Well, they have a choice of, I think it's 50 coaches throughout the country, so
Yeah.
they can pick and choose
They went.
what coach, and they can talk to multiple coaches. They don't have to have the same coach.
And do they charge you a flat fee, or is it like a menu? You choose different services?
You mean if
or-
you join Fortune Builders? There's a few different options that you can, okay, yep.
All right. Well, once you've then found the property that you want, how do you buy it? Where do you get the money from?
Good question.
That's another challenge because we're in a very expensive market, one of the most
Yeah.
expensive markets in the country.
Yeah.
And we talk to students that are in places like Florida and Ohio that they can buy a house for like $20,000, sometimes even less.
Well, to give you an idea, my daughter a couple years ago bought a house down in Jacksonville, Florida, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, new, everything, facing a pond for $230,000. You know, up here it would have cost her $1 million for that
Wow,
house.
yeah.
Sure.
So, and I'm in Arlington. The average
Oh,
price of a house in Arlington is $688,000 now.
Yeah.
So
Expensive market, yeah.
I don't know how you get enough money in order to do this.
Well, and that's what holds back a lot of people from getting into this business because they're
Right.
not sure how to fund the deals. So basically, we have a few different ways in which we can do it. One way which we like a lot is local banks, not traditional loans, but more of a commercial loan, and the interest is higher than what you would pay for your own house.
Right.
A traditional mortgage.
However, it's a lot less than what we would pay out to a hard money lender or a private money lender.
Right.
So whenever possible, we like to fund our deals with commercial loans. They do not pay. They don't fund 100% of the deal.
Right.
They usually fund about 70 to 75%.
And you put in your own money in there.
Correct.
Then we have to fill in the gap,
Right.
and we have different ways of doing that. So that's one way, and then we also do fund deals with private and hard money lenders.
Okay.
The property we're buying on Monday, I think, was a hard money lender or private money
Private
lender? Private
lender.
money lender.
Yep.
And again, it just goes back to those contacts. Going to these events like the one the other night, because you just never know who you're going to meet.
Yep.
And so we have one lender that paid 100% or 95% of a property that we're
Wow.
doing right now. And the best part is we don't pay him until the very end when we sell it. So we're not even paying him monthly payments.
Well, I'm sure they must love you. You have a great track record, so that
Right.
That helps.
goes
Yeah.
a long way.
Yeah,
Sure.
usually when students are starting out and they're brand new, they're going to use most likely a hard money lender. They'll work with brand new students, and they'll even help hold their hand and teach them the ropes. So
Great. Okay. Terrific. Well, you're obviously very successful at this. Maybe we can start talking about some of your projects here.
Okay.
So the first one I pulled off was the property in Newberry.
yep, we just sold that actually
Oh,
just
you
last
did?
week. Yep.
Oh, so it
Yep.
closed.
Yep.
All right. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about it. What do you remember what the original price was, what your costs were, what your selling price was, the amount of time it took you to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I can tell you how we found it. Believe it or not, we found this one on the MLS. So there are opportunities on there, not a ton, but every so often we'll get something off the MLS.
Oh, that needle in a haystack.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one actually was a short sale, and I think that those are great opportunities to look for as an investor on the MLS because a lot of retail buyers don't want to, wait. We had to wait, I think, 8 or 9 months for this to close, the short sale. And a lot of retail buyers don't want that.
Yep.
So, and a lot of investors don't want that too because your deposit gets tied up. So we waited and we got it, and we bought it for $230,000.
Wow.
We spent about I think it was $115,000 for the renovations. It was
Okay.
very extensive renovations.
So up to 345, yeah.
Basically, the only thing we did not do was the roof and the windows, but every other surface, including a new septic tank, we touched. And we had buying, holding, closing costs of about $33,000.
Okay.
Don't quote me on these exact numbers, but our profit was about $43,000.
Oh,
on this.
terrific.
Yeah.
And so start to finish, from when you put in the bid till when you closed on it, was what, a year or something?
Oh, less than that. I think we bought this in the beginning of April, and we sold it. When was the selling date? I think, was it last week?
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's some
December 1st,
beautiful,
I think.
you could see before and after pictures that you had, which were really
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, it looks like night and day here. And especially the kitchen area. What'd
Yeah,
you do,
the
open
kitchen.
it up?
Oh, yeah. It was
Yes.
there was a weird addition on the back of this house. It was an old colonial house. It was built in 1907, a Dutch gambrel kind of roof. But then the previous owners put some kind of a weird addition on the back. The kitchen was actually L-shaped. And it was just laid out in a way that was just very awkward. It had almost too much cabinets. I know you don't usually say that about a kitchen, but it almost
Right.
had too much cabinets in there. So we just kind of pared it down, cleaned it up, put new hardwood flooring in there, and as you can see, it came out great.
Right, and that's always, it must be a trick. Now, do you have an architect who you work with, or you just do this by your own
No.
eye?
Well, on a rehab, no, we don't usually work with an architect unless we need to get like a structural engineer or something in there. For the new construction properties, yes, we do have an architect.
Okay,
Well, on the kitchens, we do have a kitchen designer.
That's
Right.
true.
That
Yeah.
helps us
Plan it.
significantly.
okay.
Yeah.
And do you pull permits for all of this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so everything is done
Everything is
legally?
permitted, inspected by the town, signed off. Absolutely.
Okay, terrific. Well, maybe we can talk about your next one in Billerica.
Yeah, that's actually halfway done. That's the before. The one on the right is a rendering. That's not the actual house,
Right.
but it looks very similar, almost identical to that. This was a tear down. It was a very small little cottage that was falling apart, and it's right near a river. It's right near the Concord River. Beautiful area of Billerica, and we ended up tearing that down, and we're about halfway through building new
Right.
construction.
Well, I loved your,
Oh, my
your
videos.
video showing it being torn down. It was-
Kind of embarrassing, the videos. Okay, I admit.
And then you could see part of the
That's-
house and
yep,
the framing that's
yep.
going on there.
Yeah,
So, do you know what you're looking at when you see a contractor working on the house? Do you have that kind of experience or hands-on construction experience to be able to say they're doing it right, they're not doing it right, or do you just trust the people that you're working with?
I mean, we have a basic, pretty good knowledge of what needs to be done and the order that things need to be done, the foundation and then the framing and all that sort of thing. So I kind of know the steps. Whether or not they're using the right nails or not, I don't know. I trust them. For our new construction, we work with a builder.
Let me ask you, where'd you find your contractor, since you depend upon them so much?
Well,
Yeah, that's a good question.
with our builder, and with the builder, we're using him only for the new construction projects. We actually found him about 3 years ago, something like that, when we had a property in Methuen, and we decided to subdivide that property. So we rehabbed the existing house, and then we decided to sell the land that we subdivided.
Very smart,
He was
yeah.
the buyer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So that's how we started the relationship with our builder.
Right.
And we just kept in touch ever since. And when we decided to get into, we bought a tear down in Amesbury, we reached out to him and we hired him to do the project. And it's a family business. He's got his 3 adult sons working for him,
Yep.
a couple of cousins,
Yep.
and a lot of other people. And they're great.
Yeah.
It's just a great working relationship. Their pricing is really good. They
And they
communicate.
complete the job, obviously.
Oh,
so-
yeah, they
Yeah.
do a great job.
Yeah.
So we love working with
And
him.
they're very experienced. Yep.
Yeah. And you can add
And
in-
then the general contractor we hire is just for the rehabs. So,
I
yeah,
see. All right.
separate, different
Yep,
guy.
that is such a key. And then you have one in Tewksbury?
I like to laugh at this one. This one we spent $230,000 for a hole in the ground. Is like what I like to say.
Oh.
So about
All
the
right.
same price that your daughter paid
For
in
her
Jacksonville.
house,
You
For a
we
beautiful
bought
house.
literally bought a hole in the ground.
That's funny.
When we bought this property, that's exactly what it looks like right now. It was there was a house there at one point. It was built in 1988. And it was raised by the city, I believe. I don't know I think it might have had water damage or a fire. And the foundation was still there, in great shape. We hired a structural engineer. He looked at it, and we're going to build right on the existing foundation.
Okay, so you haven't started to build yet?
No,
or-
that's the plans right there, and we're right now in the permitting process. And doing
And
all
how
that
long
with
does
the
that
city.
take usually to permit?
It
Well, it
depends.
varies. The house that we just showed you in Billerica, believe it or not, that took 5 months, which was way longer than it should take. But it wasn't just the permitting process. We also had to do asbestos testing, and
And removal
they did find
in
some
the existing
evidence of
house.
asbestos.
Yep.
So we had to hire somebody for that. The surveyor took longer than they should have taken.
Right.
We had to do like I was near a river, so we had to do deep water testing to make sure, to see where the water level was, things like that.
Right.
So there's some hoops that you have to jump through. And depending on the site, the one we did in Amesbury you talk about, that was right near conservation land. So that took a long time to get the permit.
And we anticipate this one being a lot faster because
Because
the foundation's
it's already
already there.
Yeah.
Well, you're a step ahead, and I actually just sold, in the process, we're closing on a house that had a bomb shelter built in the 50s.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah,
I have not
yeah.
seen that yet. I don't think we have.
Right.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes
I
open.
get that. We will.
Right. And then you have one going on in North Andover.
Yeah. This is just a rehab.
Great area, by the way.
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cute little ranch style house. It's great for one floor living if somebody wants that, although it does have a total finished basement with a
Right.
full bath. And we bought that about a month ago, so we're about midway through the reno. This is the before pictures, obviously. But the challenge here was just to open up the walls a lot. It was a lot of little small rooms, a little tiny living room, a little tiny dining room, a little tiny kitchen, and then another room. So we're just trying to open up all the walls and make it a big open floor plan, because that's what everyone wants nowadays, right? Open floor.
Hardwood floors.
Hardwood flooring, open floor plan,
Yep, absolutely.
islands in the kitchen, yep.
And it was funny because years ago you couldn't give away a ranch. Now, because of the baby boomers, everybody wants a ranch.
They love it.
Yeah,
They love
no
it.
stairs. you know.
No stairs, yep.
And this property we also bought off the MLS.
Oh, that's right.
And it was from an investor that the investor bought it originally off, I think it was
Hubzu.
Hubzu,
Yeah.
which is an auction website.
Yeah.
However, they paid too much for it, and I don't know what happened. They decided
cold feet.
not to do anything with it,
Right.
and they ended up selling it to us for less than what they paid for it.
Right. So in order to project what your profit's going to be, you must have to know what the final resale is going to
Right,
be.
yeah.
Right.
We kind of start with that ARV, the after repair value, and we work our way down. So I'm a real estate agent, I have access to MLS, I can pull comps of what the house will be worth when it's all fixed up.
Right.
And then we figure out what our repair costs are going to be, our holding costs, and then our profit, and then that's where we kind of make the offer. So we kind of start at the top and work our way down, and that's our offer price.
Yeah, terrific. So let me ask you, do you run into problems every deal that you didn't anticipate, and what do you do about those?
No, we never have any problems.
Not true.
No, I would say almost every project. I don't like to call them problems. I like to call them challenges.
Oh, there you go.
Learning lessons. I like to call them
Sales lingo.
learning lessons, because we do learn. We've been doing this for 7, 8 years now, and we're still learning new things almost on every property that we renovate.
There's always surprises, and you just have to deal with it as they arise. And we have to make some tough decisions sometimes.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's you knock down walls and you might find evidence of termites or.
Knob and tube wiring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
yep.
Well, any advice you have for would-be investors?
Well, let's see. I would say do your due diligence and make sure you get educated on how to do this business the right way. And I'm not saying they have to join Fortune Builders, but definitely at least go to some meetings and talk to people that have done it. Don't just jump in without learning more about this business, because that's how people get hurt. Is that they're so eager to do a deal that they see these TV shows. I don't need to name them, but on HGTV, and they think it's going to be really simple, and it's not.
Yeah, and it's funny because the TV shows show you to the point where they've already got the property and they're renovating it. They don't show you the behind the scenes of how they found it and how they're financing it and anything like that. And that's a large part of this process. I mean, I would
sure
say
is, yeah.
more of our time is actually spent on marketing
Right.
and finding deals than
Right.
actually doing the renovations.
Yep. It's the same in real estate. I'm door knocking all the time now.
Right.
Just because you got to find it some way.
Right.
So-
And a lot of people don't realize that. They think they just can find something off the MLS and buy it. And
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, if people do want to get in touch with you because they have properties that they want to sell, or if they're a would-be investor, or they have money to burn and they're looking to invest it and make
Yeah.
a good deal, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, they could call our business phone, which is 978-809-3999. They could go to our website, which I guess it's all right there. North Shore Real Estate Solutions. Well, actually, it's nsresolutions.com. We abbreviated it.
Yeah, and people should definitely see your website anyway. It's a great website.
Oh,
Oh,
thanks.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So I would say those are probably the two best ways, and I think our email is on there as well,
Yep.
Alex and Kathy at nsresolutions.com. But we're always glad to talk to people and help people out.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see each other at a lot more meetings and do business together.
Sounds
I
great.
like that. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.